Good evening. We're calling the meeting to order. If everyone will rise, please, and Mr. Morris will lead us in prayer, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you pray with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you for your love and your blessings. Thank you for this opportunity each month for us to gather together with City Council and other speakers for our monthly meeting. And I thank you so much that tonight's the night and that we can have a good meeting. Lord, I pray for the United States of America. I pray for our president and his administration. And I pray for this country as we move forward, Lord, that we would be humble and loving and do the best we can, rather than being bold and mean and angry. And I thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Morris. And Rebecca, if we can get a roll call, please.
Dan Martin.
Here.
Kayla Flegge.
Here.
Matt Brown.
Here.
Sherry Gaskell.
Here.
Rose Beach. Here. Amy Long.
Here.
Thank you. And a few announcements I've added too, so if you have an agenda, I apologize because I just added on. But we have our annual Easter egg hunt. It's scheduled for April the 12th at 11 a.m. It'll be at the City Park. We also, on March 21st, we'll have our second Business Coalition meeting. It'll be at 10 a.m. in this building. So if you're a business owner, part of a nonprofit, one of the area churches, and you want to join us, please do. But again, that's March 21st at 10 right here. And great excitement around opening the Owens Park. So Chris Owens, Dr. Owens' son, is supposed to get back with me in the next week for the official name of what the park will be. But we do have a grand opening date of April the 26th. Festivities will begin at noon. And if I can, please get an approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Kayla Flegge.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Rose Beach.
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
And moving on to approval of minutes, this would be February 20th, 2025, a special council meeting, and our March 4th caucus meeting. And you can combine with the proper wording.
Motion to combine.
Second.
Dan Martin.
Yes.
Kayla Flegge.
Yes.
Matt Brown.
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell.
Yes.
Rose Beach.
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
And we'll open it up to citizens' comments. Are there any citizens tonight that have any concerns or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I remember a few months ago, maybe a year ago, some young man was in here, a high school student, and he made a comment about his mom having to dodge the tips in Main Street.
He
to
did?
go to school, and he and his siblings would ship back and forth. Thank you. I see they started on that this week,
Yes, sir.
and it's good so far what they got done. And then I think it's called Enterprise. It's a business up here right on High School Court Road and Main Street. And they used to park their vehicles like this. And if you were coming out High School Court to turn left on Main Street, you couldn't really see oncoming traffic. The lines are still straight, but the vans are parked at an angle, so you can see. I don't know whose idea it was, but I noticed that just this week.
I haven't noticed that, but I do agree that it was an issue. It was a blind spot, so that's good.
It's very good, whoever did it. I tried calling him once and no one answered, so I thought it was you, man.
Oh, no, it wasn't, Mr. Morris. But thank you. And yes, and so for the US 25 upgrade this spring, right now they are raising, I guess, the manholes, yeah, so that they can go ahead and pave. So we're moving right along with that, but
Very good.
it should be a smoother ride down Main Street. Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? We'll move right along to Sheriff's Department, Major Bill Mark. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good to be with you all on this beautiful, almost spring evening. Council has a copy of my report for For the month of February 2025, the Sheriff's Office logged 938 law enforcement events in and for the city of Walton. Some of those include deputies responded to 8 911 hang-ups. They handled 29 alarm drops. That's significantly down from January. We had a recurring problem with a local business, and one of our staff worked with management there, and they got that problem remediated. We handled 2 attempts to locate, 3 animal complaints. Deputies worked 13 accidents, also a very significant decrease from January. They logged 22 business checks, attempted 43 civil or criminal summonses, handled 5 domestic disputes, 4 complaints of intoxicated persons, 2 emotional crises, 9 motorist assists, 0 overdoses in the month of February. It's been a long time since you've had a goose egg in that category in your city. 10 requests for information. Deputies logged 471 spot checks, handled 13 complaints of suspicious activity. They investigated 2 thefts, logged 23 traffic complaints. Deputies conducted 58 traffic stops. They handled 24 vehicle complaints. We unlocked 13 cars, handled 4 wanted person calls, and all told, they issued 66 citations and made 17 arrests. Is there any questions I can answer for council or the audience?
I will say, sir, that with the warm weather, it brings out the juveniles on the motorcycles. You know, and so just a concern, my neighbor almost hit one, but I know too that you all you're not able to do anything unless you catch them in the act.
Wildcat Run?
Pine Top,
Okay.
Bettinger,
There's 4 on High Street right now.
Okay.
yeah. So they're all out.
3 of them are teenagers, and one is a young man who rides every single night after school.
Okay.
And he was riding in the dark last night.
You said High Street, but pointed that way. Are you talking high school court?
High school court.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right around the
Yes.
same neighborhood? Okay.
Thank you. And then I have one other question. We're hoping, as we speak of the park opening that just came up tonight, and one of the ladies who works inside City Hall lives in Independence, and so she shared that Kenton County is able to do this for their parks, and I was curious, perhaps maybe Boone County can do it for ours, but as we open the lake, would it be possible at dusk that the trooper that's on patrol, the police officer, would be able to lock the gates nightly, or is that asking too much?
I don't, typically the Parks Department does it for the county parks. That's not something that we've been asked to do for any of the other parks.
Well,
This
and
is our
I
city
think,
parks
Right.
for the Owens.
yeah, and I think that probably easier for them, as they're probably more centrally located around Burlington, Florence. So to ask them to come out, but if we have a police officer on patrol out here, is it a consideration? And you don't have to give me an answer now, but if, yeah.
I can take it under advisement. Would that be a fair statement
Yeah.
for this point in time?
Yes, sir, and appreciate your
Yes, ma'am.
consideration. And if not, we understand, but if so, that would be a great help.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for Major Mark? We appreciate you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I see here we have Chief Joey Vest on the agenda, but I don't see Chief Vest. So Deputy Chief Alexander, is that correct? Assistant Chief Alexander, sir. Can you please give us your report? Thank you.
Thanks for having us here tonight. We got quite a bit of stuff going on around the firehouse right now. Some of the things we got going on, we purchased a new ambulance. It's scheduled for delivery April the 1st. We're hoping to have that in service probably mid-April sometime. We just purchased a new training prop for the training grounds that we have. This was the first one that we've bought yet, so it does a multitude of drills. If anybody's out and about, we'll stop by the firehouse and check it out. It's really kind of neat. It's like a shipping container. It does all kinds of roof ventilation, searching, rappelling. It does a multitude of different types of trainings. We're in the process of putting together a quick attack truck. We still got some areas of the district that, like Boone Lake, where we struggle to get a fire engine around the backside of the lake over there. So we purchased a 5500 Dodge chassis, and we are working on putting a skid unit in it. It's four-wheel drive, will allow us, especially in the wintertime too, it'll really help us get to some remote areas of our district. So we got an open position. We're hiring a captain training officer. Something we're working on for about the past year. We finally got approval from that from our board of trustees. So that position is out and open. We're looking to hopefully have it filled by the beginning of April. This is our inspection season. So you'll see the business owners, you'll see our guys out doing their annual life safety inspections. So if you have any issues, you're welcome to call the firehouse, but they should be identifying themselves appropriately. If you ever run anything like that, just feel free to reach out. We're also getting to hydrant season, where we start testing our fire hydrants annually. So please, if you're out on the roads, watch for our guys and gals. They should be wearing vests and bright colored shirts, but it's right on the edge of the roadway. So please remind your neighbors and such to look out for those folks. As far as runs goes, for the month of February, we've done 117 EMS runs, 37 fire runs. We worked 10 auto accidents. Again, just as Major Mark said, we had 0 overdoses for the month of February, which is a first in a long time. And then for the year, we're between 300 and 350 calls for the year, which is up a little bit, but not much. So,
When you were speaking of your training equipment, that's for the property over off of Depot?
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, we're getting ready to, we're working with the Boy Scouts and some donated free labor to go over there and start cleaning that up and really straighten it out. So we're hopeful that we'll get something going before the year's up. We'll have something over there on a more permanent basis.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
If you or Chief Vest would like to join us for the Business Coalition meeting, please do. Again, it's March 21st.
He's hanging out on the beaches of Florida right now. I'll make sure he's here.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
So, thank you.
So Mr. Bogan couldn't make it this evening. He was having car issues, but we have his update. I know, Rose, you had reached out regarding the sidewalk and fixing the sidewalk in council. We spoke about it at caucus, what's necessary and what's not. And Rose raised a valid point, like, do we really need to replace the whole sidewalk? And so I reached out to Mr. Bogan and said, hey, is it too late to reconsider? He said it's not. He's going to reach out to Dirtworks, and we are probably just going to fix the trouble area. So
I kind of pointed it out to Jessica.
Yeah.
And the areas that I thought needed to be fixed, but I mean, compared to what we were talking about, the fix itself, what I saw, would be probably $1,000.
And their biggest concern was going to be the mismatch of the color of the concrete. So if we can do that in a way where it's not an eyesore, then absolutely, I agree. If we can save money in that capacity and it's not an eyesore, it'd be my preference as well.
I can show you the 3 main areas I thought that needed to be fixed, but I mean, it's not nothing really.
Yeah.
Even our city employees probably could fix them.
And it doesn't need to be the whole
No,
sidewalk.
no,
Well, thank
definitely
you
not.
again for bringing that to the forefront. We can review for the audience, we do have his report here, but just briefly, the High Street pedestrian bridge. Matt Bogan and I met with KYTC recently to catch up on the project status since our previous meeting was before Duke got involved. They are happy with our progress, and we are updating some of the previous certifications for the environmental review and traffic management plan. We should be on track to get notice to proceed on bidding in the next couple of months. So for those of you that are unaware, the High Street pedestrian bridge, it's been a labor of love for, Matt, a decade. Is that true?
Yep.
And it's a grant that's paying for it, right? So we're almost there, which is exciting. And so just kudos to everyone who hung in there and stuck with it. Actually, the state reached out to say, are y'all still gonna use this grant? We haven't heard from you. But in the meanwhile, what they didn't realize is that Matt Bogan had been moving on it, working with the railroad, working with Duke. That takes a little bit of time, obviously. So He notes here that the 2025 road projects regular started on Main Street manhole adjustments yesterday, Mr. Morris, to your point. Work will be completed this week, weather permitting. Cardinal hasn't received a schedule yet for the resurfacing work, but we'll keep the city notified so an announcement can be provided to the public. We've received a citizen comment about traffic study conditions at the intersection of Town Center Drive and Service Road, which currently functions as a two-way stop for Service Road and Kroger. The complaint states that it's becoming increasingly difficult for our traffic on the side streets to turn safely onto Town Center Drive, and he's witnessed near misses and arguments. The intersection has been mentioned in the past as a concern. Major Mark pulled crash data and found one T-bone collision over the last 4 years involving a car failing to yield to oncoming traffic while exiting Kroger. The resident also asked if we can consider restricting truck traffic to the eastern side of Town Center Drive to ease congestion at the western side. The city can post signage on Mary Grubbs with the state's permission to direct traffic, but it would be important to also coordinate with local businesses to increase awareness to their drivers. In response to the citizen complaint about Mary Grubbs, he reached out to KYTC and inquired about the possibility of them conducting a project to improve pedestrian connectivity and safety. They stated that they felt the matter would be better addressed as a local public agency project by the city. There are several grant opportunities that could be available, but will depend on the type of improvements the city wants to pursue. Some internal discussion is needed to determine how we want to proceed. And at caucus, council, we did discuss what that would look like, and we kind of assigned homework to each other to come back at next caucus. But definitely if we can utilize grants to upgrade Mary Grubbs there. I know one of the concerns, if you're coming from Main Street headed towards the interstate, that people create their own turn lane right there at School Road, and can we get that to be a turn lane, right? But again, these are decisions that the state would have to make. It's a state highway there, so those types of discussion took place at caucus, and we'll continue those. And then he has an update on the Walton MS4 program. We've received a couple complaints in recent weeks about improper disposal of pet waste. Residents should note that dumping waste into ponds, streams, or other water features is considered illicit discharge per city ordinance and can be cited by code enforcement. Although one incident has been resolved, the other complaint resulted in possible infection to pets on an adjoining property, and water testing may be necessary to trace the source of the infection. Pet waste should be bagged and properly disposed of in the trash. And any chicken coops or other outdoor pet areas should be regularly maintained to reduce pollution. Again, that's Matt's update. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, moving right along. So for city business, Sherry and Mr. Duncan met with the county regarding the occupational tax, and they brought to council an update. Sherry, would you like to lead us through?
Okay. We met yesterday with Kim, and she says the proposal, I've given council, every member a proposal. They are very glad that we're doing this and that we're going to use them. The initial count setup onboarding is about $70,000. That is a lot of money, but there's a lot that goes into it. They're going to take care of everything, the payroll companies, the businesses, the government employees, the tax forms. They're going to do the legal forms, the agreements. My goodness, there's so much. But it's going to basically start July 1st. They're going to start implementing the software, getting everything done. And hopefully as in January the 1st in 2026, they will start collecting, working on the collection. But the money won't be due until April. It's paid quarterly. And
April of next year?
Yeah, 2026. Yeah, so it will be, that's when they'll start collecting for that. What else?
Well, actually, they'll start collecting it. The employers will start withholding it in January, but it's paid by the employers to the county on a quarterly basis, and then we'll get it within the month. That's why it says April.
Understood. So previously, realizing that we were going to use the county to help collect, the county said, hey, we're a little bit busy, we can't even talk to you until June. So the fact that you all were able to get there in March, does that help guarantee that January will be the go date?
January's the go date.
Awesome. Thank you for this information.
Would we be in a contract with Boone County?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we'll sign an interlocal agreement with them.
Is there a
Like
yearly?
they have with the other agencies. that-
Like, are we locked in for 10 years, or is it a year by year?
We haven't
It's-
discussed that.
I haven't
Okay.
got that far.
Okay. My only concern would be, say we're having them handle it for the first couple of years. We get in 5 years down the road, and if we want to say, hey, maybe we want to do this ourselves, is that something we can do or not?
That's a good question,
Okay.
which we need to.
Sherry.
It's very difficult.
Is, other than the $70,000 on initial setup, is there a fee yearly or quarterly or anything?
Yes, there
After
is.
that?
There is, there's a fee every year.
So on that second page, it says there's a collection fee estimated at $25,000.
That's based on
That's-
250,000. They charge 10%.
10%, yeah. So, and it shows what all
They charge 10%, so let me get this right. If we are collecting what was projected, potentially 2.8 million, then they'll get 10%? Okay. It's a lot of money,
That's what they proposed.
yeah. And just understanding too, what we understood, and Dan, that's a great question about what it looks like in the future, because Union collects their own, and what they learned is it's a lot. And what they also learned was that they probably wouldn't do that again had they been given the choice. But they did say that it's the equivalent of a full-time employee to manage all of this. But when we're talking about 10% of $2.8 million, it may be worth a full-time employee. So we just really have to, this is new to us as it is you all, so we're gonna have to learn about it and learn from the county and see what our options are moving forward. Sherry and Mr. Duncan, thank you so much. Yes,
You're
ma'am.
welcome. And there's a little bit more. On the 70,000 that's due, we can pay that monthly. And they
Understood.
have that on that
After the
page.
money starts
After the
coming
money
in.
starts coming in.
Yeah.
That way, we're not paying for something we don't have yet.
Understood.
And that initial cost sounds like a lot, but for comparison, they said that the City of Union paid $52,000 just for the software that they had to purchase.
Understood. And when we talk about 70,000 for the, to kick it off, to start it, they had told us previously it was probably going to be somewhere around 100,000. But again, that's minimal compared to 2.8 that you're collecting. And so, awesome information. Thank you so much. Is there a follow-up meeting?
After we decide, I call Kim, or one of us can call Kim, to say, yes, we're going to do this.
So, Mr. Duncan, is this something we vote on?
You can,
But not here this evening.
you could. The sooner we make a decision to go forward with it, the sooner they can start
They get going.
getting going. I'll be working with the county attorney on their local agreement, things like that.
So council by vote, we can move forward. Rebecca, do you want to?
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Caleb Fleggy,
Yes.
Matt Brown,
No.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes?
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you again, Mr. Duncan and Sherry. I appreciate it. So the follow-up with them,
After I call her
Uh-huh.
tomorrow and tell her we're going to do it,
uh-huh.
then she starts the ball rolling.
Okay, very
And then they'll draft it, and then it goes before the judge, and he approves it. Is that correct?
Fiscal court will have to
Fiscal court.
approve it. Once we get the interlocal agreement, which has all the terms in that, you all have to vote on that too.
Awesome. Thank you again. Appreciate you all representing and getting that taken care of. The next piece of city business, there was just confusion, but I'll just speak to it right quick. In our city handbook, it states that employees, when they're hired, that they receive a city vehicle if they live within a certain radius. At caucus, we discussed potentially removing that from the handbook, but we're not prepared tonight. We don't have the ordinance written to adjust the original ordinance, so just checking that off as we'll continue those talks, and we'll pick it back up at April caucus. And then I believe it's going to be the same situation for the short-term rental annual fee.
I'm good. I'm ready.
You have the ordinance?
I don't have the ordinance, but I have to tell you guys what's up.
Okay, very
The
good.
ordinance.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Okay. On our short-term rentals, we have to, each short-term rental has to pay $500 per year to have their short-term rentals. And as of now, there's a few that haven't paid, but if they don't pay, there is no penalty that has been set. So I kind of want to talk about that as far as what should a penalty be and how much should it be and how should we handle it. That's kind of what we want to talk about there.
And currently, Rebecca, it's due February, correct?
February 1st.
February 1st, yes.
February 1st.
And the people that are late, I've contacted and they're not responding.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one that did, that told Rebecca, he's got 3 properties, that he was going to do it, but there's no percentage for late fee or any due date that should be late.
Is there like a percentage that it makes sense as a late fee? Or just go $100?
Well, let me ask Mr. Duncan too, because that's a great question. If they choose not to pay at all, say, okay, there's an ordinance set, you have to pay this amount to have your short-term rental, but if someone continues to do business as a short-term rental and they don't pay at all, what's the penalty there?
Well, we would withdraw their permit. If they didn't pay and don't have a permit, then there's an enforcement mechanism. I believe it's through the code enforcement officer, and that has fines attached to it.
Okay.
If there are no fines attached to it, I would suggest that you charge, if it's not paid timely, you charge 10% penalty and then 6% per annum on top of that. And then I'll look into it to see if there is a mechanism to prevent them from doing business if they don't have a license, which I'm sure we have that in there. I just didn't look it up.
Okay, very good. So,
And on the 10%, I'm with you on that. So what's the late date? When should we charge them?
well, it's due
When should that
February
happen?
it's due February the 1st, so if
Right.
not paid by March 1st, would you
Right.
feel fair, that it'd be fair for a 10%
March
penalty?
1st.
And so by ordinance at our next council meeting, we would pass this?
Yeah.
Okay. So 10%, and if it's not paid by the end of February, Mr. Duncan will find out if they choose not to pay at all, what actions are taken.
Right.
Thank you, Sherry, for your due diligence.
Welcome.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Good to move on? We shall move on. Resolution 2025-01, a resolution of the City of Walton, Kentucky authorizing a lease agreement for the financing of a project providing for the payment of and security for the lease and authorizing the execution of various documents related to the lease. You have what you need, Mr. Duncan?
Yeah, this is a resolution that follows a discussion that you had previously about financing the public works projects. In order to proceed with that through the Kentucky League of Cities, there are a couple of resolutions and then eventually an interlocal agreement that needs to be entered into. So this first resolution will authorize you to go forward with the financing arrangement. So you need to adopt that by motion.
And prior to motion, I just want to explain for those in attendance. So we have met with our engineers as well as the Kentucky League of Cities, who would be helping us with the bond issuance for our sewer upgrade. We're excited because it's been a long time coming, right? And so working with the engineers, what we have found is that our cost they tell us it's a high estimate, fingers crossed that it's a high estimate, but our cost for our sewer upgrade would be $10.1 million. And again, that's why we need it, not only for our sewer upgrade, but for our water system upgrade as well. But right now, the sewer upgrade, $10.1 million, and what Mr. Duncan was stating is for us to move forward with working with KLC for the bond issuance, this would be protocol. People have asked how long it might be for the sewer upgrade to be. And speaking with the engineers, it would be potentially 3 years, 3 years before completion. So, but the great news is that we're moving forward. And so I'm just honestly tickled that we've come to a spot where we are ready to continue forward, and we know what direction we're headed in. So, like Mr. Duncan said, by motion, we can move forward.
I make the motion.
Second.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Caleb Fleggy,
Yes.
Matt Brown,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
And next is a resolution of the City of Walton approving an interlocal cooperation agreement by and between the city and certain public agencies regarding the Kentucky Bond Corporation.
And Mayor, this is the second part of the resolution I indicated before. In order to participate with the Kentucky League of Cities financing program, we need to be a participant in the interlocal cooperation agreement. And what this does is authorize us to go forward with that. And again, we would need to approve that by motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Caleb Fleggy,
Yes.
Matt Brown,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
Thank you.
And next is ordinance 2025-01, second reading, an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky approving a recommendation of the Boone County Planning Commission in order to adopt text amendments to the Boone County zoning regulations applicable only to the incorporated area of the City of Walton in order to allow small-scale sales or leasing of new and used motor vehicles as a conditional use in the city's commercial 2 C2 zone.
And Mayor and Council, that title is loaded with most of the information that you need for summary. But in addition to that, if you all recall, we had a business person who wishes to operate a small-scale automotive sales operation in the C2 district there on Main Street. Council approved a resolution to ask the Planning Commission to look into that. Actually, they had a zoning text already on the books, and what this does is authorizes our C2 zone to incorporate that language so that it would be a conditional use in the C2 zone, which means that any application for an automotive use in the C2 zone would need to go through the Board of Adjustment and show why they would be entitled to a conditional use. And this is second reading. You had the first reading at the special meeting. And again, you can adopt this ordinance by motion.
And if we can, just to enlighten the folks, so the building down at the end of town here, the little yellow building that was a consignment shop, it was zoned in a way that it allowed for motorcycle sales and was it even car rentals? And so, but it didn't allow for car sales. And the gentleman who purchased the property or owned the property wanted to put a few cars on there. So the council had no issue with just, again, clarifying the language to include that piece as it was already zoned in a certain way already. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what changes here. And again, by motion.
Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Dan Martin,
Yes.
Caleb Fleggy,
Yes.
Matt Brown,
Yes.
Sherry Gaskell,
Yes.
Rose Beach,
Yes.
Amy Long.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so we move on to council comments. Councilman Flaggy, do you have anything?
Do not.
Councilwoman Long?
Thank you for coming.
Councilwoman Beach?
No.
Councilwoman Gaskell?
I'm all good.
Councilman Martin?
I don't have anything tonight.
And Councilman Brown?
No, thank you.
On to mayor comments, I just have a few things here to check off. Public Works applications closed out yesterday, and so Rebecca and Jonathan, who's a supervisor, will be reviewing and doing interviews.
Terry,
Beside,
do you know how many applications we got off the top of your head?
here's a folder of them, and I believe there's 10.
Cool.
Yes. I didn't want to spoil it for the city employees, but I don't see any besides Rebecca, so I'll share. At the end of the month, we're having an employee appreciation day. And in that, between here and there, this time frame, Rebecca, myself, and the other folks in the office are creating an employee appreciation program. Off the top of my head, I was thinking that we would name it Elevate Walton. But it's really recognizing employees who go above and beyond and think outside the box. And I'd love to give you one example. So down at the splash pad, one of our flowers that spits water, it was broken, unfortunately. I don't know if it's vandalism, I don't know what occurred, but it was broken. But to replace it was going to cost over $3,000. And so Rebecca had decided that she was going to look on Google to see if she could find it cheaper instead of going with the provider who built the splash pad. Well, in the meanwhile, and again, I appreciate those cost-saving efforts, right? As our taxpayers do as well. But in the meanwhile, one of our public works gentlemen, Tommy Ryan, he came up with an idea that they fabricate their own flour. And so another one of the public works gentlemen, Bobby McDonald, brought in one of his tools from home, and they fabricated the flour. And we won't know if it's going to work until we turn the splash pad on. But how could it not work? It's it's putting it at the end of a spigot that's going to shoot water, and it's soft edges. There's no danger. But what would have cost us $3,200 cost us less than $100. So when we have our city workers who are engaged and are thinking about cost savings and our citizens and the taxpayers, it's every reason to celebrate. And so I look forward to implementing a program that will celebrate the employees who not only bring cost savings, time savings, implement improvements, and because the way we did things yesterday or today may not be the best way. So just really rewarding those ideas, and I'm excited about that. And I just wanted to share that with you. I didn't want to spoil it for the employees, and I'm sure they're not going to watch the video. So, but March 28th, we're going to have an employee appreciation dinner for them, and we're going to recognize some of the employees who have already made great strides and seeing the money as their own. And it's really, each one of us have changed our way of thinking, seeing how money was used, how money should be used, and we've just made great strides. And so again, something to celebrate our employees, and hopefully they'll enjoy that day and moving forward, where we can not only recognize each other, but an opportunity to pat yourself on the back if as an employee you were able to do something monumental in the way that Tommy did, to bring that forward, to brag on yourself and say, this is what it was going to cost and this is what we did. So again, celebrating that. I did hear through a local gentleman who had a meeting with Rebecca and I that the parking lot up here at the bank I just want to share this with the community because he's excited about it. It potentially is going to be a car lot. So I just wanted to share that with you. The gentleman came in and he wanted our public works gentleman to go out and check the area to make sure that when he puts his sign in, that it's not going to interfere with any of our water lines. So this is in motion, and I would expect it here probably in the next month or two, but I just wanted to share that update that the parking lot hopefully will no longer be, chained off, that it's going to be used for something that's going to bring people to the area, and hopefully the gentleman will have great success with it. So just sharing that. We updated on the sewer, and then, we did have our first business coalition meeting, which was last month. It was great, again, with nonprofits, church leaders, business owners in the city. But two things that came from that I wanted to share with you. If you've lived in the community for quite some time, you're probably accustomed to newsletters that came out in our water bill, and that kind of went to the wayside. So kudos to Rebecca. It was a suggestion from one of the business owners in the room here, and he asked if we could bring that back, and so we absolutely are. So in our next water bill that will go out at the end of March, look for the newsletter and the updates. And so if you have any suggestions on what that should look like or what you want included in that, feel free to share your opinion at City Hall. You can call them, you can email Rebecca, or you can raise your voice here if you choose. But excited about that. Our next Business Coalition meeting is March 21st. We talked about it at the beginning. And one other thing that came from that is co-op opportunities, hoping to partner with the school to get a lot of our business owners involved. There's a lot of students at our school that would like an opportunity to co-op, but they don't know that those opportunities exist. So I'm excited about that. Dr. Baker is going to bring more information back to the business owners on the 21st. So really just creating an opportunity for our students to work in the community, to take pride in their community. And I'm hoping here with our Public Works Department, our sewer plant, as well as City Hall, that we can offer those opportunities to students as well. So I'll open it up before we adjourn to any citizens' questions or comments. Yes, ma'am.
We have our first meetings for the Games House Saturday morning. We're going to have two of them since the very first ones. Saturday morning at 10 o'clock out of the Games House, and then we'll have another one. If we can't make that one, we have one Monday evening at 6 o'clock. And we will be setting our calendar and our events for the year. Last year we did quite a few events, including a murder mystery dinner and some other things. And we have quite a few people go to the house. So if you'd like to volunteer to come out and do the work, it's all run by volunteers. We have a great group, and those meetings are at that time. And as for the city employees, the maintenance guys are absolutely wonderful at coming out there and doing stuff for us and painting and saving us from hiring or saving me from painting, which you never want to do. But yeah, they've been very helpful in those things, and also the city clerks and all the rest of them, they help do tickets for us, they do flyers, they're extremely helpful. And if you're unaware of what the Gaines House is, the city of Walton was once known as Gaines Crossing, and Abner Gaines kind of founded this town. And it has a lot of Walton antiques in there.
Thank you, Paula. I appreciate that update. Paula's done a great job volunteering. She gives a lot of her time, as others do as well. But Paula spearheads what happens at the Gaines House. So if you're interested in that, if that's a passion of yours, you can reach Paula. If you don't have her contact information, Rebecca can provide that to you at City Hall. But it may be beneficial, too, if you'd like to come to the Business Coalition meeting, because there may be people there who are interested as well. Thank you, Paula. And so thanks everyone for being here. I know it's a beautiful evening. And it's nice to see so many people in the crowd. Great appreciation, great community that we have. We could adjourn by motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone have a good evening.